to a whole nother level. So today I just saw a video of Kasmuel on X, and someone was asking him about Morara and everyone else out there injecting as they would. Comrades, we should all occupy spaces that we ought to occupy, because this fight is not about me, it's not about Morara, it's not about McOure, it's not about any of those individuals. It's about our future and the future of our children. Very, very important for us to know that. So if the going gets tough, then our resolve should get tougher. When we started these spaces, a lot of people were joining the spaces, and there was a rhetoric that was always being explained that the going will get tough, people will fall off. God is great. We are seeing people fall off, because normally when you want ukirusha mahindi juu, baridi inatoa zile zenye hazina weight, the chaff is blown away. So let us stay steadfast, let us organize. But what I can say is, as much as we would like to organize, let's do it in a very smart way. Even if the intelligence is listening, we need to find ways of communicating, and we need to find ways of organizing that the state doesn't have a hand on. So, yes, that's good. So let's find a niche on how we are going to communicate, how we are going to organize, so that we reach most people, not for campaign or anything that the other politicians do, because we know that they are prepared. We know they have money. We know that they are not idiots. They are smart. Unfortunately, they are smart in corruption and causing disdain and giving orders to kill innocent comrades. But let us be smarter than them. Let us beat them in what is right, not in what is not right. If they are firing corruption at us, let us fire accountability to them. If they're trying to instill grains of tribal lines in our combat, let us shun off from them. So someone said here that we should respect the elders. Personally, this is what I have to say. Your enemy, you can love your enemy, but you are not supposed to associate with them. I can give you my love, but I'm not supposed to associate with you. Neither am I obliged not to call you out in your disdain. So we should not accept anything less than accountability, anything less than corruption-free people. If someone is corrupt, if someone is with the enemy, so be it. Let him be where he is, but let us be where we are. Let it be as broad as day and night. So comrades, let's force on. We inject. Personally, I've been on a road tour across Western Kenya, injecting where I can. I visited a lot of people. I was even shocked. This is a small anecdote that I got. I was shocked. I went to a place in Webuye. Apparently, you guys know that there was the Madaraka Day that was being held. And somewhere close to Webuye Bridge, there is a junction of a let's say a Maram road that goes all the way from that area in small villages up to Kakamega. I'm telling you, the president, the people in the president's office, they upgraded a road from Maram to Bitumen only for the president to come, land on an airstrip close to Webuye, go with his V8s to the national event in Bungoma that was held in Bungoma, come back and leave. I'm telling you, we don't have a country here. If that is happening, then it means that the appropriation bills is not actually the appropriation bills. We are dealing with people who wake up in the morning and say, give me 40 million, we need to do this. That is not in the budget, that is not part of what people have voted to do. So we are basically dealing with a sham government. This is a government. This is
1 minute.
Yes, this is the government that only thinks about their interest and they don't care. And mind you, this road has a lot of economic potential. A lot of sugarcane farming and grains are grown along that road, very fertile area. But the government saw it fit just to upgrade that road to tarmac because the president is coming for that national event. It's a pity. It's a pity, guys. It's just a pity. Anyway, let's keep injecting. Let's make sure that the older generation also get to hear this, and let's forge on. Viva, comrades, viva! Let's not stop.
Viva, thanks, comrade. Cyprian, have the mic.
Thank you very much, Buka, and all my comrades on this space. I want to speak to just three things. First of all, I want to say that we need to understand that there are three places we are fighting and pushing this administration on. And I have come to call it the land, the sea, and the air. And we have to be good at all those three places where we are engaged. The air strategy has continued to be, and I'm saying this deliberately so that those who are on the enemy side know that we are very, very clear what we are doing. The legal strategy, which is the air strategy, the legal and institutional strategy must become very strong. We must defeat this government in every court case, in every institutional battle, whether it is IPOA, and we need to call out the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, which has continued to remain silent when Ruto is saying that, there are no people who have been abducted, there are no people who have been,
Cass, did we lose Cyprian, or it's my connection?
I think we lost him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Sorry about that. So let me complete. I was talking about the air strategy on and thanks, Buka. When I go off again, just alert me. And so that is on the legal and the institutional strategy, which I think we've not done enough with. Then we need to strengthen our land operation. I am very happy because we are going all the way to the 47 counties. We need to target all the 21 sectors that we have been working on since 1997. We have been in this for nearly 30 years, and we have now reached in every village across this country. We need to take over Nairobi. We need to strengthen our mobilization. And the land operation has to be very, very strong. We must stop the abductions. We must stop the intimidation and the harassment. And then thirdly is about the sea operation. This is the economy. This government is not going to listen to the people of Kenya so long as they can continue to collect taxes, so long as they can continue to spend lavishly. You can imagine the amount of money that Ruto has spent in his tour of Nyanza, in his tours across the country over the last 3 weeks. It is in terms of billions of shillings. If we cannot stop and make it expensive for this wastage and corruption to continue and the lavish spending when schools cannot be funded, and if we cannot stop external borrowing and local borrowing, which is actually killing the economy, we are not going to succeed. So we need to step up our work around the issues of the economy, because that is what is keeping this administration, this regime going. My last point is about how we are moving forward. The 4 issues that have been said on this call today, I agree with them. There's need for unity, there's need for branding, there's need for structures, there's need for communication, there's need for harmony and solidarity. We need to establish our rapid response teams so that there is movement immediately to where there is need for movement, so that our people can be bold, they can be sure that when something happens to them, they are going to find support from comrades across the country and even in the diaspora. So let us be encouraged, let us be determined, because we are only waiting for one trigger, and then the Ruto administration will be down. I suspect that the trigger may very easily be 2 weeks away, maybe 1 month away, maybe 2 months away, but we must be prepared when the trigger arrives, whether it is going to be the default, which is actually very near now. Government is broke, they don't have money, and the lenders don't want to give them more money because they have no ability to collect. So we must know that the trigger for removal of this administration is very near, and we must be prepared for that day when the trigger is going to be lifted, because the finance bill was the trigger that time. The next trigger is again going to be the economy. We must be ready for when that trigger is going to be available, and we must have communicated, won the propaganda war, and prepared the country for the removal of William Ruto and his administration. Thank you so much, Buka, for the time.
Sure, Cyprian, thanks. And I look forward again for taking the air route and the sea and the land. That's a very fairly good analysis. So we are going to have Tom Boyer, then we have Roslyn, and then we have Rabel, and then ex-conformist. I think, yeah, because we will like to wind up this place. We had intended to have it without interruption by 10, but we can extend it a bit by about past if Cass agrees, or 11, to make sure most people speak, and then we wind it up. So just make sure your hand is up. So Tom, please. Your mic is muted. So if Tom is still not there with us, we go to Roslyn Akombe.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I think I'll make myself.
I will bring back the mic to you, Tom. Let Roslyn carry on.
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity and the invitation. I'll make my contribution quite straightforward. But a huge part of our transformation lies in understanding the principles of governance, and in particular the Public Finance Management Act. So one example of how we've ended up with the huge debt burden that we have at 11 trillion is that the requirement for Parliament to approve debt was instead submitted to the executive. And that meant now that, of course, the executive could borrow at will. So when we lost those checks and balances, we went from a debt of about 2 or 3 trillion over 10 years ago to 11 trillion now. The debt is so bad that we cannot honestly have development, and that's one of the things we must call ourselves on a reality check. And this reality check means that the chaos that got us here has to be addressed before we even talk about who is in office next. So that means that before we push for the next person in this office, what office are they getting into? What responsibilities are they getting into? Do they know their job? One of the things is that we've in the last election there were people who are questioning credentials. Is this person qualified? Do they have the degree? More over and above the degree, we have to look at the terms and the requirements of their engagement. So that has to be looked at. How is this person spending money? Because if we don't address the millions that are missing, the billions that are missing, how accounts are opened and how accounts are transacted, then unfortunately we'll still keep seeing these loopholes hemorrhaging our taxes into oblivion. So the thing is, let's all challenge ourselves to read this Finance Act, the Finance Act, the public finance, anything to do with public finance. Let's follow where the money is going, because if we don't know that, it may not be of so much impact if the next person comes into office and they still have the same loopholes that they have access to. So the next thing is also lowering the stakes of governance such that if someone is getting into an elective seat and they're getting all these huge salaries and perks, we must ask why. Why are you getting this kind of salary? What are you, what are you bringing in terms of value? If we don't question the economics of governance, we will be stuck with the politics of it. And unfortunately, the change that we are trying to labor so hard for may not be realized. However, this is the starting point. We do have a chance. We do have an opportunity, and I will encourage the audience. Let's not argue about methodologies, like you want to do this way, you want to do this that way. No, let's not argue about methodology. Let's stand on a united message such that we know we want the finances of Kenya to be spent or to be directed a certain way. We want the debt down, we want the taxes down, and we want accountability up. Let's get our vision straightforward, because we have to think about Kenya decades ahead of now. And if we think about this vision, it has to outlast us. It has to be beyond Roslyn. It has to be beyond any individual. That's the only way that the next generation can come and carry this forward. And in that case, as we make it simple for ourselves, then this message will get to anyone in the country. We'll be able to speak to our grandparents, our parents, our nephews, our nieces, anyone who is connected to us. Our message must be so simple that it unites us beyond everything. So I believe we have a chance. Let's have all hands on deck and know that we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roslyn, for your, especially the issue of debt. And I think Comrade Omtata Senator Omtata has continuously brought up the issue of the odious debt and how we can push that at least the issue of the odious debt is actually, addressed. So I will give the next speaker, please. That was Tom Boyer. We are dropping some speakers because just to allow us to add more people. And also, I'm just making an announcement that 2 spaces were actually suspended. And that's why we had to move from Kasmuel's handle to put it on my handle so that it survives. But looks like Kas cannot start any space now from his own handle because his handle has been, interfered with. So that's why we are continuing in this conversation here. So please, Tomboya. Rabbi Rouser, you can start the mic. I think Tomboya is not around.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm gonna try to make it as brief as possible. There's an observation I made. There's an observation I made when we were having the protest. Within the protest, Africa Uncensored, there were many media stations, but Africa Uncensored specifically was doing a lot of personal interviews with people and on their reasons for being on the streets. And I noticed a very interesting pattern. The people who seemed, every time I'd listen to people and people would have the individual reasons, our home is struggling, I don't have money, the debt issue, I'm seeing politicians living lavishly. And then I'd see every once in a while someone who has foundational knowledge on these issues, someone who comes and says, my problem is this neo-colonial government that is a consequence of capitalist imperialism. And every time I'd see that, I'd look for that person, because Africa Uncensored would give us the name of the person who was talking. The two people that I looked for were one guy called Chege and another guy called Kinuthia, only to find that both those people were members of the Communist Party of Kenya. Now, what's this observation supposed to speak to? I want to dispute this idea of educating our parents and educating the ignorant. I want to speak to the idea of knowledge being eternal. The thing we have here, the problem we have here is that a lot of us have convinced ourselves we know everything. We have stopped seeking knowledge and we believe our role is to tell others to think because they are stupid and we are smart and we know more than them. This problem is very fundamental and it even speaks to the idea of betrayal. Within this period that we are speaking, after these protests have happened, we should be seeking to spread knowledge. And spreading knowledge doesn't mean we know more than others. It is sharing our collective knowledge, expanding our collective knowledge base. That is what we should be working on. That speaks to even the idea of betrayal. Someone said people fall off and, chaff is swept away by the wind. But I'd argue it is because we are not having foundational conversations and we are not seeking to collect and teach. We are not seeking to know and to help others know. Our idea is that we know best and we need to go and tell others how to think. When we speak of betrayal, a lot of what we are speaking to is not betrayal. It is just our selfishness with knowledge and our idea that we know all. When we started the demonstrations, they were about to reject finance bill, right? But we did not dig into the issue. We did not look for the foundational structures of this problem that we are seeking. So now the finance bill has been dropped. How do you say that the people who now stop protesting because the finance bill has gone are betrayers? They did not know anything beyond that because we did not share and we did not seek to learn from them why they were on the streets and connect the individual problems to this connection, which is the foundational issue, which is capitalism, imperialism, and neocolonialism, which are all connected. If we don't have these foundational conversations, I can predict what will happen. We will build a political party. Best case scenario, we build a political party and we are like, we want to root out corruption. And then we get into government. And true to force, we root out corruption in the public sector. Then, the moment we start speaking on capitalism, we disillusion a number of people. Most people start running away like, oh no, this is not what we were here to do. And then we start calling them betrayers and traitors. But the truth is, we did not have foundational conversations. These people came here because we told them it's corruption. Corruption is the problem. You remove corruption, you solve everything. But the truth is, corruption is just a symptom. If we do not have these foundational conversations, we will keep on revolving around these fights, these internal fights amongst ourselves, because we will not get to a point where we share common interests. Our interests will always be competing. Buka, I'm sure, Comrade Buka, I'm sure you remember, or rather not remember, you have noticed something on your page. Every time you mention communism, there is an eruption. People are like, no, communism makes people poor. People don't even understand communism is a goal, not a formula. These conversations are not being had. So when people see the Communist Party of Kenya at the court, chanting, they're like, oh, this is infiltration. This is because if we do not share this foundational knowledge, if we don't seek to educate and learn, what happens? People reference other sources of knowledge. And the biggest source of knowledge that has created the biggest base is the colonial power, is the imperial core. People reference the United States. So you'll hear a lot of talking points that you can tell clearly come from Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. We need to have these foundational conversations. This period that we have, that now we are not on the streets, maybe a time will come that we will get back. But as long as we are here, let us have these spaces, let us interact, Let us share foundational knowledge. Let us seek to learn and teach. And let us not believe that some of us are smarter than others, that we need even the idea of leaders that we were being told that, some of us are smarter than others. There are people who are economists, so they understand these things beyond us. Those ideas are the ideas that got us here. Let us seek foundational knowledge. Let us seek to teach what we have, and let us seek to interact our individual conflicts, our individual problems, our individual contradictions with the core system, capitalism and imperialism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Rouser, for your contribution. And also, the work of the National Coordination Committee for People's Assembly is to try and clarify what is the enemy of the people and what is the character of our struggle. And at least in our documents, it's important for us to also look deep into that. What Rabbi Rouse has actually brought in clearly is that we are fighting to complete our independence. We are uniting all the democratic forces in our country to finish our independence. Kas, you want to? I can see you have unmuted your mic, Kas. Okay, then we go to peer review.
Okay, thank you. I really want to appreciate the speaker who has just spoken, that most of us believe that we have the monopoly of knowledge, which is not true. And if somebody doesn't agree with us or doesn't agree with you, is wrong. That's something that we must do away with. And something like this, like I've been seeing some civic education people saying they are doing civic education, and they are doing the opposite of William Ruto. Yeah, just to counter William Ruto. I don't believe that's civic education. I believe civic education is to engage people in the process, the systems. What we have in Kenya is the systems have failed. Most of the systems have failed because if you look like what most people complain nowadays, like for example, when they were recruiting teachers, MPs and the CS was giving out employment, and people wanted to get a fair chance. Everybody wants to get a fair chance and employment and everything. That's what affects most Kenyans. So if you look, that was one of the things, the corruption that people are talking about. If you look, and unequally, when it comes to tenders and everything, those things that are corrupt, it's only that it goes to a few. But if some other people got it, they will be quiet about it. No, if you go to this thing called odious debt, I see people talking about these things so much. If you look at countries like Malaysia, there's this corruption scandal with this American bank that they got $4 million a debt of they got it to $4 million in debt. It never helped. It's called 1MDP. They had to pay finally. Once the government of the day got us into agreement, whatever you decide to do, you must pay at the end of the day. You might restructure, you might default, but you must pay. So let's not lie to our people that it won't be paid. So there's date we can do this. No, it will be paid. Tell me one country that has done that, however corrupt it is or whatever it is. So we should be factual about these things. We should not use emotions to excite emotion. When you do civic education, I believe we should be engaging people on the budget making process, on the implementation, on the revenue collection side, and how it's going to be implemented. But if we start to excite people emotionally, we lose the track, because I understand what I was looking at after the 25th, the reject finance bill. I knew it was going to be rejected. I thought the next step was to go and look at every ministry from NHIF, every in detail, where there were like some kind of some people died because of this and this. We look at it as a country in all. But when they went to attack the presidency, it became something different, because I know this, like one man cannot rule the country. It takes a lot of people to rule the country. You cannot rule as one man the country. You need a lot of people to run a country. And that's where and when it comes to democracy, you don't acquire power by yourself. You need people from Western, from all those other regions. And those regions are representation of the demographics of the country. So And if you are going to tell me that you are going to hire on merit, only on merit, without considering the demographic of this country, it might be a problem at the end of the day, because some people will not feel represented in the national issue. We are a republic. We are not a democracy, Kenya. We are a republic. That's why the interests of the minorities are taken care of. Like, for example, we need somebody from this community. We need somebody from we are we respect each other in terms, as far as the majority make their decision, the minority have to be taken care of. That's our country of Kenya. And this issue of calling others enemy, who is your enemy? We are not in a country of enemy. We are not enemies that we are fighting with somebody. We are fighting somebody else. No, we want a better country for ourselves. So we don't consider others the enemy, or this is our enemy. No, maybe you can say the corruption is our enemy, but no, we are fighting corruption. Corruption is a problem, not an enemy. It's a problem, and that should be dealt with differently. There was somebody who's talking about a president going somewhere, maybe there is a road or something. And I can tell you for one thing for sure, there is within the executive and the county government executive, there's something called discretionary expense vote, that the governor or the president can go somewhere. There is an issue there, he must deal it at that particular time. So there's those budgets. How it is used is not is I can't explain it, because I'm not the auditor general, and sometimes they are called confidential votes, and something they have a lot of names. So as we look to that, and I want to go back to what the auditor general and controller of budget said. Was it 2022? The kind of corruption that afflicts this country the most is where we have capital flight. The money leaves this country, goes to another country. If it could have been retained within this country, it could have done better. Okay.
Comrade, you have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I've finished.
You just finished yours on capital flight, comrade, and then it's okay. Okay, then we go to the next speaker. We just want to take this round of speakers and then wind it up, because even Kasmuel has still problems with connection on his side. So we go to the ex-conformist, and probably the list of the people waiting on the speakers. It's getting slow, but we cannot admit all of you at the same time. So please, ex-conformist, you can speak. I think he has a problem because I can't hear him. So
Hello?
what about the Young Women Growing Initiative?
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. I was connected to my AirPods. I think that's why you couldn't hear me. So, to make an introduction, I'm an African. I identify as an African, in parenthesis, a Nigerian. The reason for my introduction as such is to highlight on my submission tonight. Actually, I'm somebody who is inclined and who is motivated to understand the root cause of every phenomenon and every problem, or whatever the case might be. To understand the root cause. Because when we understand the root cause, then we can see the clear picture and we can know what actually is the problem. You understand? I don't think Ruto, I don't think these people are the problem, our problem right now. I think the problem is deeper than that. It's so deep and vague that if we don't look well, we cannot understand. And for us to able to get a perspective, a right perspective, then we must be open-minded. I'm saying this because I've been a follower of the movement for a very long time. Actually, I came across Boka on his Instagram page, where he was holding a forum like that, African Stream, and then a couple of months after, or I think some weeks after, the movement, the finance bill movement rose up, and then I got to know about Kazini. So with Kazini, I was observing the situation, and then I noticed he was declared he was not seen, like he was like they took him away or kidnapped. And then I was like, is this some play or is this some okay? And I'm not currently in Africa. Currently, I'm in Switzerland, but I do my own thing. I have an organization actually in Kenya, an NGO, which I formed with a couple of comrades over there. And then I'm like, yo, I think these guys are making some foul play here. They're trying to make a move. Let's do the same thing. And then I reclined a little bit and watched, and then I saw people dying, and I saw like, yo, this shit is for real. You understand? And I think these people are honest, and they are on the right path. And I'm saying all this to highlight on my submission, which is the issue of collectiveness. I've been actually listening keenly to this space today. You all have highlighted around the notion of collectivism, but no one actually mentioned that word as in the title. Collectivism is very, 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 very important. I cannot even stress how much it is so important. Like you all said, this is not a one.
We can't hear you, comrade. I think we have dropped him again. Conformist, I think we dropped you. So we go to the Young Women Growing Initiative. Please have the mic. We're just taking the last round of comments, and then we finalize this space.
Hello, Buka. How are you? Thank you so much for this platform. And first of all, I'd like to pay homage to all the comrades and the people that came before us that we've lost in the line of this phase of revolution, and that yes, Aluta continua, the struggle continues. So I would like to speak to three things, and I like to be straightforward and direct to the point. First of all, my name is Beatrice Oidera Njiru Maina alias Nyararia Mumbi, and I've often been hit by digital surveillance and online censorship. So I'll be quite fast so that by the time they hit, I'm done. So the first one is on how we are involving indigenous community in this in whatever efforts you're pulling from across and beyond our comfort zone and our reach. This is because indigenous community for a long time, for years, we have existed in this country called Kenya, long even before it was called Kenya, long even before it was demarcated as an East African protectorate. And we know very well that communities that live in the forest or live by the periphery of the forest are the first conservation agents that we have. But now there has been a recent trend, and it's a culture where we have individuals within government adopting forest. And in this specific issue, I'd like to speak to the issue of Larry Forest. And in Larry Forest, there is a privateer, a profiteer who is adopting the forest to go and construct a hotel. And hello, this rings a bell to back in the 90s when Wangari and all the other comrades and all the professors that we have today and all the people that did the gallant fighting then had to go back and bring the synergies and find out where is a missing link. Why is it that people in the environment and climate change work are only involved in government processes and indigenous people are used to make these government celebrations look beautiful? Is it that they are not directly in touch with the thematic kind of abuses that the government is directly imposing on our land in the forest? Or what exactly is going on? So in regards to that, nataka tusalimie huyo MP wa huko Lari because he is the person that is doing that and he needs to be stopped because Larry belongs to the people. Secondly, there's a company there. I don't know who the company belongs to that is polluting heavy pollutants into Larry Swamp. That company needs to leave Kenya as soon as possible because this is our land and we get to control what happens in our land. And by that, it means that we'll be protecting a very important water catchment area to all the residents of Nairobi and most Kenyans as we speak because that is a catchment area for Athi water. The next issue that I'd like to talk about is induced inflation and specifically ask, we are talking about odious debts. We are talking about the other debts that we are hinged into. But we're not asking ourselves, where is the money that is taken into the offshore accounts? Does this money belong to Kenyans? Yes. How much of that money is out there? And how much of it can we get back, flowing back into our economy? Because definitely induced inflation is brought by lack of liquidity. So why do we have money in the offshore accounts? We need to ask ourselves that question. How much is it, and how much can we get back in the country as a way, after maybe like a tax amnesty, which I think last was effected in 2019, to try and bring back the proceeds of corruption, of wanton corruption that was happening back then. And then finally, the healthcare. The healthcare is emergency healthcare. Access to emergency healthcare. We are nowhere close to giving even, I don't know, 60% of the best that we need to be giving to the people. The reason I say this is because sadly, we still have women that are passing on after delivering children because of what? Losing blood. This is something that shouldn't be happening in the current day and age. So what I'm calling is for synergy. What I'm calling is for you to go back and look into the kind of issue that you're addressing and the kind of issue that is inspiring you to come out here. Ask yourself, is it a systemic issue? Is it a systemic kind of oppression tactic from the government? Or is it cultural? Or is it cultural? Is it systemic? Or is it kind of a surface issue that will only need us to be there for the short term, but eventually we'll be left now still trying to figure out what the long-term issue is? Let's recollect ourselves and let's go to the root of the problem by thrashing out the symptoms and getting to know what is the systemic oppression that we are dealing with from the system. And in this side, it's about the people that support Ruto and his government. And they are the people that are encroaching our forest, the people that are using the current provisions for budgetary allocations to take more than they need to take from our pockets. They have registered private companies that can be traced to them or their relatives or this kind of people. And this is what MPs have been doing, and especially the second time MPs in Mbunge as we speak. So all these people that are financially brainstorming, mentally, physically, spiritually supporting Ruto, they need to calm down, because we need to fight this war from all sides. Thank you so much, Buka, and I'd like to hand over the mic to you.
Thank you very much. You're just having the last round of mics. Then Senator Omtata is back with us. We'll give him a chance to wind up. Kasmuel is also trying to rejoin back this space because he has problem with his handle. And thank you for bringing the issue of the indigenous communities. And we hope that the National Coordination Committee of People's Assembly has an open door policy. And we hope that we can, engage more people, even the indigenous people, in terms of advancing the Pro-People's Camp. So I will give the mic. I will give the mic to Audrey. I think so. Audriella. Then I come back.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to speak to a few things. And the first thing, I'm going to start with the person who's just spoken right now. And she was talking about the people who are adopting our forests. Now, I'd like for Kenyans to remember that we had something called Vision 2030, which was about what generally UN countries came to some kind of agreement that we will have what we call we'll have a certain standard for sustainable goals for everybody. And within those plans were that we should have a clean environment, for example. Everybody should have access to education, food, all those things, proper healthcare, water, and all that. Now, there are certain people within this globe on Earth, the very, very wealthy corporations, most of them are corporations, unfortunately, that have decided that humanity does not deserve to have sustainability, that we as human beings should remain slaves forever, slaves to poverty and illness and all these other things that we are trying to fight with the SDGs. So the WEF, for example, if you go and look at the WEF website, you'll find that everybody who has been, or rather, everyone who is on the WEF website had a great idea about how to access, or okay, they have an idea about how to accomplish one or two of the SDGs, how to offer everybody access to either proper healthcare or water or whatever else. But what has happened and what most people do not understand is that the WEF is owned and controlled by these corporations who need to enslave humanity for them to keep earning money and to keep themselves in a state of power over the rest of us. So what the WEF usually does, and what most people do not understand, is that they will pretend to be helping that person, that new company, or what, but after some years, they will try to take over the company. They will try to control how you use your resources or how you use your ideas to help other people. And at the end of the day, they subvert. They do what we call subversion, okay? So they make sure that whatever you are trying to accomplish is only accomplished in the way that they want, not in the way that you had envisioned it. That is why we are starting to see, for example, we have these vaccines that are really killing people. Now, we have been taught that vaccines are supposed to help us with our healthcare. They are supposed to help us prevent certain illnesses. But right now, if we're very, very honest with ourselves, if you look at the COVID vaccines, they have killed very many people, and this is not even being spoken about. That is just one example I have given you people. So I want people to understand this. This is not just about Kenya or William Ruto. We are fighting a greater evil. And what Kenyans do not understand is that some governments, like the previous, actually, it is the current American government, which is, by the way, a fake government. The people of the United States of America are in what we call continuity of government. I shared this some time before. The Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration, current administration, is actually fake. They did not win the 2020 elections. They stole the elections, but Donald Trump refused to hand over. So if you go and look at the so-called quote-unquote handing over ceremony in 2021, Donald Trump was nowhere in sight. So in short, he did not hand over. So he is still the CIC of the armed forces of the United States of America. Again, I repeat, Donald Trump is still the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. But William Ruto alitoka hapa kwetu akaenda USA na decide he's going to make a deal with the fake government of America, which then resulted into him giving away.
I will give you one more minute.
Yeah, okay. He gave over the police to become mercenaries for the fake government of USA. So if you look at everything Ruto is doing right now, he is completely enslaving us to the WEF and all the people they deal with, including NATO. So what we need to understand is this. What he is doing is not an accident. It is not a mistake. He knows what he is doing, and he is being backed by very corrupt people. Another book, and this is something that we need to understand. We need to go and read this book that is called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. If you want to deal with these odious debt issue, you need to understand that they're doing this to destabilize our economy so that they can perpetually enslave us to everything that they want to do. And by the way, Kenya has now become a lab rat for the WEF and all their demonic nonsense. And the people who are saying that communism is a good thing, communism cannot work in a civilization like ours, because everything that you want to help society with will be taken over by these people like the WEF. Okay? Right now, what we need to be fighting is not just William Ruto himself, but we need to understand why he is doing what he is doing. He is being helped by people who want to enslave the entirety of humanity, and Kenya is a lab rat. Right now, we are a lab rat right now. So anybody who is going to be fighting William Ruto needs to look behind the curtain and understand what we are fighting. We're fighting a very great evil.
Comrade,
Na juu ya hiyo,
comrade,
juu ya hiyo, give me 50 seconds. Juu ya hiyo, I want people to go and watch Fall Cabal. Go to and online, uangalie Fall Cabal. Go and watch it. You will understand what kind of evil we're dealing with. Na hata hatujaanziwa kwanza. Yani, these are just the initial steps. So it's going to get worse. So, huyo mtu lazima atoke huu mwaka. Otherwise, we are done. Thank you.
Thank you, Buck. Thank you very much. I will give, please take 2 minutes so that we are able to stop this space in just at 11. I would like Tomboya and then Fu and then Kim. And then I will give Cyprian to make his remarks, and then Mudiora, and then we wind up with Okiya Omtata. Then I give a summary, and we close this space, please. So at 11, we should be done by the space. We've been here since 8 p.m. So, comrades, please. Tomboya. We have lost Tomboya again. Kim?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think I'll try to take the 2 minutes you've given to us. But I'll not really delve into the problems that have been stated by my former comrades. But I really challenge them into the practical way of thinking. That we are in a state where we have to find space to do our own things. And by this I mean in the middle of whatever you're calling a revolution, we have enough of us to be involved in very, very different things, all pushing towards the same agenda. Like for instance, we've had enough of spaces where we come to rant. This is happening in my home area. This is happening in Larry. But from a practical sense of view, I tend to believe that if that is really happening and you're the person who can see it, not the villagers, I think you should start that civic education and just get those villagers to chase whoever is trying to mess around with the ecosystem away. I think those are the practical solutions we need to be putting in place. I mean, like, we cannot keep forever ranting. We have to ask ourselves, what am I really doing? Because no matter your state, there must be an effort, something you can bring to the table, to this common table. When Kasmuel is all over the media, when Morara is going around auditing projects, we cannot just come here always speculating about this is happening in treasury. Yes, we know some of these things, but how these people move is the funny way. They make sure the people who know don't talk, and the people who talk don't know. So we can always keep speculating. So rather than having this game back and forth, we need to have these spaces really providing solutions. If you are really complaining about illegal miners and they're in your area, I believe there might be like 10 guys, a contractor with a team of 10 guys. That whole village might be like 100 times more than the contractor's people. You need to round up those villages and then tell the contractor, enough is enough. If you really get those boots off the ground, then seriously, it will be felt by William Ruto at the top. You don't even have to go to him. He'll come to you. So he'll have to talk about it because you're not really talking about theoretic things. You're talking about problems you faced. You know the people who are there, and you also have the evidence of you people chasing them away. We need to start thinking in a very, very practical way, including this civic education. If you cannot go round in the village, start at your home. If Ruto goes to your area and starts this abracadabra he does all the time, just pick your phone, use a 10-minute call to call your parents. Can you undo whatever Ruto will have done for the day? I think we'll have to start looking for very simple executable results, solutions, I mean, to all these problems we are facing. Otherwise, we'll always keep ranting in such spaces. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. Fu, and then we go to Mudiora, and then Cyprian, then Okiya.
Okay, assuming you guys can hear me. So, I want to talk about a culture of bad governance and a lack of rule of law, and why we need to talk to everyone we can about this. So basically, this of course starts with colonization, where to colonize a people, you had to divide and conquer them. And for this, the people who are colonizing created tribalism. They did this in Kenya, they did this in Nigeria, they did this in India. They do it's tried and tested, right? And of course, with colonization, you want to have it's bad governance, it's just an extractive system. So carrying on with post-independence, when the people who took over power then carried on the problem of bad governance. And for them to steal, they needed to again push on the whole tribal thing because they need to have a few people who they can work with and steal, and then the other people. So basically, you just need your small group which you work with to steal, and then you oppress everyone else, and then you hide under the whole thing of tribalism or whatever other thing you could find. And that's why at every attempt that people have tried to break this system, it still keeps happening. So for example, right now we have counties, and with counties you find that what happened is just that corruption got devolved, and now instead of having tribalism, you have either people in the family of that person who's in power get to steal, and if we don't talk about the problem of bad governance and a lack of rule of law, what will happen is that even the people who will come after, this problem will never end, and we will have a very unequal society, right? And so because the tribal card will be played, and it will be one of their main points, is that we must explain to people how bad governance actually creates tribalism, and that tribalism is not an innate weakness that's in people. It's just that it's a tool that's used around the world to divide and conquer people. Either you are black, I am white, or you are this tribe, I am that tribe. But it's all a tool of the people to divide and conquer and steal from them. And just a tool for people to steal. And then you get a few token people where you get, oh, you are the first, I don't know, people from this community, or you are the first black president. But really you use that as just tokenism to carry on the culture of bad governance. So definitely, while carrying forward, we must then explain also to people how bad governance affects them at an individual level. Because if we don't do that, people will not really see the need for solving these problems, because people have to have a very personal problem for them to either protest or to vote for the right person. You have to show them how when there is a bus that crashed and killed a certain number of people, that that problem starts from bad governance, from when the road was designed, from how everything was mapped out, to the kind of vehicle that they used to travel. So for example, if you're in Europe, if you're in nice countries in Asia, you find that when you're in a bus, you don't think that you will die, because you know everything has been built in such a way that the chances of death will be very low. Something crazy has to happen, right? When power grids have problems and kids in hospital die, that is a problem of bad governance, and it affects them. So even if the police don't come and shoot you, even if you don't go get shot by the police in the street while protesting, bad governance will still kill you when you're buying sugar which is poisoned, when you're in some public transport system, and so forth. So yeah, thank you. I think my 2 minutes are up. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much. And of course, we are continuing to clarify the problem and intensifying our organization to bring the solution of the problem. And thanks for contributing to it as well, comrade. So I will give Mudiora Carriera a chance, and then Cyprian will give his final remarks, and then I give Okiya Omtata to wind over. Mudiora.
Thank you, Buka, and fellow comrades, for giving your time to this conversation tonight. I'm pleased that we've been able to recover even after we got attacked and our first space was taken down. That's what we are going to keep doing. We will borrow from the amazing Kenyan resilience every time we are under attack and come back better, stronger, and bigger. So I want to take us back to what we've been doing at the National Coordination Committee of the People's Assemblies. We meet every Monday at 2 p.m. and I would like to give thanks on behalf of all those who are members of the coalition to Senator Okiya Omtata, who has facilitated our meetings by offering a space where we can go, think, meet, interact, engage, and reach out. Now, tomorrow we have a meeting where we will be discussing the organizational structure about how this coalition is going to operate now that we've been trying out our theory and it has worked for the past couple of weeks. Last week we were at 57 organizations. In the course of the week, Buka and others have met interested and actually interested parties, and they've joined in. They have similar and common interests, so we appreciate. So when we meet tomorrow, we'll do the adoption. So we are calling out all those who are doing the same thing that we are doing to reach out so we can combine forces. The enemy knows how to organize because they've been in this space for quite a long time. So, comrades, tell others out there that we are no longer doing this in silos. We are bringing together our experiences, our resources. And on this metric, I would like to thank comrades who took this campaign of enhancing the civic and political education among the people to Mombasa via the SGR. They'll be coming back tonight, I think. There are those who went to Eldoret. We know of people who went to Kisii. You heard about Morara and the team that went to Kisumu. So we have Kenyans covering the entire country, doing something to ensure that our people will not be hoodwinked again to put in office leaders who do not have their interests at heart. So I appeal to you as an individual to join a movement, come together with other like-minded Kenyans and organize around that. Our goal has been to take power, because with power, we can manage to bring about meaningful change that will serve the people. Organize, mobilize, and Kenya will rise. Now, I'll take you back to just a little bit of something, and this is with regard to the current regime. They came to us with the better model. That's the bottom-up economic transformational model. But I want you to test that on this, that transformation is a constructive process of change that is based on truth and trust. The two leaders at the top, do they pass the test of truth? Do they pass the test of trust? You know that in their first ever finance bill, the one that was going to lay down how the next 4 years were going to be, was found to have violated our constitution over 30 times. Cyprian, working with others under the Kenya Bora to Itakayo initiative, researched and found that the presidency has violated our constitution within the 23 months that they've been in office over 36 times. So I'm asking you, what's the state of our nation? In our second last meeting, we had colleagues who joined us in that meeting from the Free Kenya movement, led by Bob Njagi, who were abducted after attending our meeting. And since the 19th of August, they've been missing. I'm talking about Bob Njagi, I'm talking about Aslam, I'm talking about Jamil. Our president promised us that during his reign in office, we are not going to have enforced disappearances. We are not going to have extrajudicial killings. We are not going to have summary killings, but we've seen these things happen. What's the state of our nation? We have teachers in the streets. You saw that Kupet has been agitating that the government that does that which they agreed to do. And they have not. Instead of addressing the issues, they've gone on an overdrive to try and depopularize the strike that is currently undergoing. We know that tomorrow university students will hit the streets demanding that fees must fall. What really is the state of our country? Look at the recent thing that happened that shocked everyone, that we are going to spend over 14 billion to print currency notes when we can't find just about 13 billion to take care of our teachers. Our president, after the agitation by Gen Zs, was holed up in this country for that long. But after he figured out how to break the movement using the tribal card, he's back again globe-trotting on our dime. So really, what kind of a leader is in charge of this country? Are we safe? I would like to ask you to imagine that for the next couple of years, we are going to be faced with this. Take whatever documents that NCCPA has put at your disposal, understand them, use them to educate those in your spheres of influence. If you're not able to do that, please support those who are able to go. Get them the bus fare they need, buy them the water that will help them be vibrant out there. Take care of those who are already on the ground. There are those who have been asking what is the course of action going forward. And I will tell you that after tomorrow's meeting, where proposals will be made, I know that in the course of the week, we have a ground action in Dagoretti North constituency where I know Kasmuel and a team of others will be going to meet the people directly. They'll be taking to them the 13 reasons why Ruto must go. And by then, I'm hoping that those of you who are able will have translated these into the local languages so we can directly reach the people. We have action going on. You'll see us during the weekend meet the people directly, support these initiatives. Come on board and let us liberate this country. Organize, organize, organize. Organize so we can take power and implement our constitution to fulfill to the people the promise that was made to them when we came up with these documents and when we believed that we could be more than we had been made to believe we were. Thank you for joining this space. Again, I would like to say this from the Secretariat that every Sunday between 8 and 11 p.m., we will hold the NCCPA X Space conversation. So mark that in your diary and tune in. And should the space drop, do not join any other because the NCCPA space will always be up and running. Thank you for your time. Let's keep doing these, fellow compatriots.
Yeah, thank you very much, my comrade Mudiora. I invite Okiya Omtata, Senator Okiya Omtata, please. Okay. I'm just going to make my final remarks as we wait for Senator Okiya Omtata. If we have run this space
Okay.
for yes.
Ndogo, let me speak before you speak.
Okay, please.
Yes, first of all, I'm very, very grateful for what has gone on. I've listened. I can see we have got very many people can lead this country on this platform. We have seen you understand our problem. The only thing that has not come out is an action plan. We need to work out on an implementation plan. How do we implement all these brilliant ideas we have? How do we organize to be able to get rid of our agony? And I think as we go forward, we need to burn some midnight oil on what do we need to do to be able to implement this plan we need to get ourselves out. Because as you have seen, we have a people who believe that they can only thrive by making Kenya diminish. They are out to diminish this country and to diminish the masses. They are a small elite. We understand the issues. We understand all our problems. We have the solutions. Now we need to work out on an implementation plan. And I think we should do that as early as possible. And we must know that we are in a democratic process where decisions are most likely to be determined through the ballot. We must now begin getting an implementation plan to ensure that we have got registered voters who can outnumber their people. We have got candidates from those registered voters who can offer a clear and credible alternative to what we have. And then we must ensure that the elections meet the threshold in the constitution of being tamper-proof. It's not impossible to achieve it. If we focus on it, we should be able to do that. And Ndugu Book, as I hand back at the mic, let all of us burn the midnight oil on the implementation of this agenda. We have got all the human resource we need. Let us get an implementation plan and let us work on it fast enough. We don't have a lot of time. Even if we were to go 2027 is just around the corner. In politics, to organize a nationwide campaign is not easy. So let us work hard and make sure that we come up with the credible alternative vision for this country, agenda for this country, that is so well articulated in the submissions I've had on the X space today, and in past spaces that I've participated in with the progressive wing of Kenyans. Let us try a progressive political leadership. Let us try to get rid of people who want to go to politics to destroy the country. Let us try people who don't have baggage. People can account for the little that they own. Let us try people who believe that public service is for creating a legacy, is for doing things that benefit the majority. It's not for enriching oneself. And I think many of you listening to you, you have that understanding. So let us move forward. Let us slay the neo-colonial state. Thank you. Back to you, Bukandugu.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate each and every person that managed to attend at least the NCCPA X Space 3 times in different states. The first space was being hosted by Kasmuel. Then Kasmuel went down. Then again, we started another space. It went down. Then I had to take the host and invite Kasmuel and Omtata as the host. So that is the resilience that we have to make sure that we advance. But just a few takeaways. We are not going to negotiate with the people who have murdered our people in the streets. We are not going to negotiate with criminals. We are not going to negotiate with this government. In actual sense, the National Coordination Committee for People's Assembly is deliberate about organizing for an alternative government post-Ruto era. And this government must not be captured by the reactionary class, which are mainly the rich billionaire class that want to consolidate and defend their positions of privileges. The National Coordination Committee of People's Assembly has a clear open door policy to welcome any democratic patriot in Kenya who would like to advance a pro-people politics, regardless of their religious beliefs, their ideologies, because we hold this correct position that the most urgent task that we must do is to consolidate and unite the pro-people's camp in one political popular initiative that will sweep the Ruto Raila, temporary marriage, and welcome a new dawn in Kenya. We also are saying that the enemy of the Kenyan people now is clearly known. And all we are saying is that we want to complete our independence, and we want decisions by Kenyans to be made by Kenyans and not somebody outside the Kenyan territory that is trying to interfere in our processes. So we welcome you all to the National Coordination Committee for People's Assembly. We know we are going to start off the hard task of at least we systemize all your submissions in today's X space and then bring them back again for enrichment and further discussions. But the most important task at the moment is to intensify our organization with a clear intention to take political power from these criminals and use it to advance the pro-people agenda. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next week on Sunday. We are still going to have an X space, but we are also going to join tomorrow the national strike for the students to actually go against this anti-people policy that want to commodify education. We are also going to join the striking teachers on the streets to make sure that we put imminent pressure and isolate the criminals that continue to rob our country. I wish you a good night, and I hope to see you soon next week. Comrades, thank you, Senator Omtata. Thank you, Mudiora Carriera. Thank you, Baraka, for your good work. Thank you, Roslyn. Thank you for all the speakers. And we also need to thank Kasmuel. I hope he will not lose his X handle, because we still need it to continue injecting until finally, this neo-colonial state is crushed and we build a new pro-people status. Good night and see you next week. Bye-bye.